Welcome, radiant ones, to the Jaden Show. I am Jaden Cornelious, and I'm super stoked to be spending the next hour or so with you to introduce you to a super wonderful and talented person. His name is Paul Hardy. He's also known as Phoenix, the singer. You're going to meet him in a minute, but you know what? We're going to go and watch some of this boy in action. This is from back in the day, from the 90s. This is Love City Groove with Love City Groove.
Nah, baby, when I first saw your face, I saw your head flavor and I wanted a taste of this sweet thing. But now it's so much more, cause every day I'm thinking about what my baby has in store. Trust and believe day to day, I never doubt her, cause I used to have a dream girl, but now I found her and she's by my side. She's my pride, my all. 10 foot tall is how I feel, I never fall, I never fell, or what the hell, I'll admit it. Love was the target, and you hit it. So as I watch you sleep in the middle of the night, you open your eyes and I know it's alright. Two hearts, two minds, two people, one love. And the way you make me feel, it's like you're sent from up above. Your touch, your smell, your face, a unique breed. It's only love, but it's all that I need.
In the morning, when the sun shines down on your body, I know I better make it love now. In the morning, when the sun shines down on your body, I know I better make it love now. In the morning, when the sun shines down on your body, I know I better make it love now. What did I make it? What did I make it love now?
I'm glad that I've been found, always wanting you around, keeping me lost for words.
Yeah, I know how to sound. Now I've been to many places and I've seen many things, but nothing that I know can ever make my heart sing like you do. It's like a voodoo, you know what I'm saying? Baby girl, I ain't playing.
I'm glad that I'm the one to rock your world, cause honey, yeah.
In the morning, when the sun shines down on your side, I know I better make it love now. In the morning, when the sun shines down on your side, I know I better make it love now. In the morning, when the sun shines down on your side.
Now, y'all know that you want to go and meet Paul, and I understand that completely, but you're not going to just yet, I'm afraid, because we are going to go to a Jaden Show commercial break. You ready? See, how lovely was that? It wasn't that painful. And now you get to meet this week's super special guest on the Jaden Show. Please welcome the amazing Paul Hardy. OMG, Eurovision God, Paul Hardy from Love City Groove. How are you, young man?
Well, I'll pay you the tenner later.
Thank you. Actually got that inflation. It's 12.75 now. But
yeah. Well, I'm a tenner. I'm no different to Pavarotti. He's a tenner. Yeah. So well, it's good to be here. What was the question?
Well, the question was, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. It's bloody lovely to meet you. So we've obviously had a few things in common because actually kind of in common. I kind of started off a year later than you in a Song for Europe, but you'd already got to number 10 in the Eurovision votes and became number 7 in the charts in your band Love City. Yeah. Is Love City Groove the band or Love City?
Love City Groove was the name of the band.
And the song.
Famously at the time, the band and the song. Yeah. They've even used that little nugget as a quiz show question in certain TV quiz shows. I've got the answer. I know this. Yeah, so Love City Groove by Love City Groove.
By Love City Groove. Yeah, I remember it. I was watching it, obviously, all morning today, and obviously we've just seen it before this interview. Bloody great tune, mate. And maybe a bit too classy for Eurovision. I'm actually quite surprised you've done so well.
Well, I mean, it's of its time. You know, I listen to it now, and there's no doubt, if you didn't know, that it's very 90s. But so it was considered almost too current at the time, and all the DJs saying that they really did champion us, and they all got behind it. Apart from, am I allowed to name names? Yeah. One DJ, apart from Chris Evans, who absolutely hated us.
Really?
Yeah. He trashed our record on air. And I'm like, well, we're getting noticed, you know. I noticed that more than all the praise we were getting from the other DJs. You know,
publicity is good publicity, right?
Yeah, it's no such thing as bad publicity, especially nowadays.
So how did it all start for you? Like, go back to like Mini Hardy. So you're kind of your family environment, because you're from West London, aren't you? Same as me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Harrow way, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm an Isleworth boy. I'm kind of Hounslow, Isleworth boy, so not
Hounslow. Yeah, I know Hounslow well. Yeah.
Too far from you. And what part of good old Blight are you living in at the moment?
Well, now I'm not in London at all. I'm down by the coast in Suffolk.
Oh, nice,
deepest Suffolk, on a big old farm near the sea.
Really?
Yeah. I thought I was just coming down here for a break, and I stayed here.
So. I would have done the same, mate. Absolutely. It's
yeah.
Beautiful part of the world. So going back to sunny Harrow. What was it like for you? Like, what kind of got you into music? How did it all start? Tell me a little bit.
Oh, wow. Then we'd have to go back even further, because I was a late starter. I was in my 30s when I finally made it, and I only made it because everyone was saying, "You're in your 30s, mate. You've had it. You'll never make it."
Quick.
Made me more determined, you know. And So when I actually started. Like everybody, it just seemed like a good idea, and I think in those days we didn't even have karaoke, so you'd have a pub singer with a guitar and a little beatbox down by his feet, and he'd just do all the latest hits really badly. And one day he had a sore throat, and he said, "I can't sing. I've got to get through this gig." And he was like, "Can anyone here sing?" And I wasn't going to put myself forward. I'd never been on a stage before, ever. Wow. And a big crowd I was with shoved me up there. And I started singing. The landlady came up to me afterwards. It's a real dive. It was one of these sort of spit and sawdust pubs, you know. And she came up to me afterwards. She said, "Do you want a job?" I said, "Doing what?" I thought she meant behind the bar. And I said, "Doing what?" And she was like, "Singing, you idiot." You know? So I've gone, "Yeah, okay. What do I do?" She goes, "Sing." And I said, what nights would I be doing? Because, you know, I had a day job and everything else. And she said, "Well, Friday nights." And I said, "But Terry's doing Friday nights." She goes, "Not anymore. Not if you say yes." So I thought, what do? I really like this Terry guy, you know. Just do the same songs every week, but we look forward to them. So I'm about 19 years old.
Wow.
At that. And then I realised I really like this. I like doing this and getting an applause and a bit of attention, you know. So yeah, and then once you take a bite of the apple, you know what it's like. That's it. You're in.
Mate, 34 years, still going, still going to be an overnight success one day.
Yeah. That's. I mean, this is it. Never say never. I admire those people because, I mean, I was 35 when we got the Love City Groove hit. Well past not just past my sell-by date, but past my use-by date as well.
Wow.
So,
but not now. But then, yes, but not now.
Not now, because we've got social media, and you pretty much market yourself the way you want to market yourself.
Absolutely.
You're not relying on PR companies and everything. Well, you can do if you want to splash out a fortune for nothing.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how they stay afloat because kids now are so savvy. They can set themselves up in a shot and promote themselves exactly how they want to promote themselves, look exactly how they want to look, sing what they want to sing. So, you know, I think it's a great time it's a bad time for music in one sense, you know, because people are getting more and more reliant on AI.
Yeah.
But what's happening is, you know, because producers are starting to use AI now as tools to speed things up.
Yeah.
And that's great. It's just more toys to play with. But what's actually happening, I think, is there's a backlash against that, where people want to hear human-made music. So I'm thinking it's sort of turning back the other way now.
We're dehumanizing it. I mean, like if you take like, I'm not a huge country fan. I do like a lot of country, but I wouldn't say I'm a country fan. But you see like the raw emotion on something like Dolly's something. You're never on an AI.
Yeah.
I saw it. I think I was chatting just before this chat, and it was kind of, you know, like it was like, you know, create a pop song in minutes by using Chat GPT. And I was like, no, don't use it. Like, don't. Like, there's so many talented people.
Yeah. No, you're dead right. But I say now, get to know your enemy. You know, and I was an illustrator for years and years. I worked for Marvel Comics and all that malarkey. And back then you had to do everything by hand. But I decided when AI art became a thing, and I was seeing all this, I won't say that it was rubbish because you can do anything with it. And people expected me to see that as a threat. And I thought, well, no one's stopping me doing real art, you know. And basically I thought I'm going to get to know this thing. So I kind of got a few apps and started messing about with it. And I'm thinking, well, there's no doubt at all that you can create something really amazing in a few seconds. So that's not good for the whole artist experience thing of you know, being signed up on a contract with a big company or any of the experiences that I had. But it's a different world, and we always adapt. You know, we had the same thing in the Industrial Revolution when all these sort of cottage industries went out of business. I'm meandering a little bit into different territory now, but so basically it's all out there. It's good. It's not going away. We've got to get to know the enemy, and I think eventually it will be so eclectic. I think what will happen, you'll have an AI chart and a human chart.
And a singer-songwriter chart.
And a singer-songwriter chart, yeah. You've already got tons of different charts, so I don't see that changing.
So, super talented man, however, probably most remembered for Love City Groove. How did that come about? From pub singing in a Spit and Sawdust, of which I've done many.
Yeah.
How did you go from there to being number 10 in the Eurovision Song Contest? Like, that's pretty big.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what, Jaden, I've been trying for years and years, writing serious, heartfelt lyrics, songs, meaningful songs. I'm going to stick to my guns and do songs that mean something. Nothing. You know. And Beans, who masterminded Love City Groove, the producer, I'd already done a track with about 5 years earlier, and he phoned me up and he was like, "Poor mate, I'm not sure if you're still singing, but I've got this song." Well, it's not really a song. I've got these raps. And there's a guy called Dave Ambrose at the helm who signed up Duran Duran and Transvision Vamp and anybody that was anybody. It even had something to do with Fleetwood Mac. I'm not sure what. But anyway, he's big in the business. What he hasn't done you know. And he said, Dave Ambrose, it's a long story, but Dave Ambrose wants to sign me for a summer hit, but we haven't got a summer hit. I'm like, okay, keep talking. He said, I need a chorus. And he played me the rap on the phone. And I'm thinking, well, I like the chords, you know. It's only 2 chords, I think, as far as I remember. But it had that summer vibe, and it was very, very, it was in its fetal stages, but I got the vibe. I said, oh yeah, let's do it, you know. So I just went round there with no other intention than to help out with this chorus. And it was a really, I've told this story a few times, but it was a really hot, sunny day. So the lyric came really quickly because we just wanted to get down the pub as quickly as possible and wrap it up. I wasn't taking it that seriously. Just goes to show you, doesn't it? You know, after all these heartfelt songs.
Absolutely.
And we've looked out the window, and as Beans always says, there was this biblical light coming through from the sun. Yeah. There really was. And we've looked up there, and we've got something like when the sun shines, and Beans has gone, yeah, in the morning when the sun shines. And I can't remember who said what, but we gradually pieced all these sort of random lyrics together. I thought, oh, we got something. It fits, let's throw it in. So literally in about half an hour, we've come up with in the morning when the sun shines. And then Beans, good marketing head on him, said, we need something a bit risque there. So we've gone down on your body. We're really making love. Take that either way you like, you know.
Eurovision lyrics, yeah.
Yeah. So thought no more about it. We went down the pub, had a lovely few pints. I went back to where I was living in Northwood, you know, Northwood. Yeah. And thought no more about it. Not long afterwards, so it was like 1994 at this point. So it wasn't going to become a hit until 95.
Yeah.
But he said they want to sign us. They want to sign us. Dave Ambrose absolutely loves the track, and Beans was worried because I was 35 and past my sell-by date. So he said, I think he was always intending that this will be the guide vocal, you know, and we'll get a real singer in. We'll get a young hot thing in to do it properly. And by sheer chance, Dave Ambrose's daughter, who was 15 at the time, and she was his kind of main gateway into the modern kind of world at the time, because he'd been around, he'd been around a long time. And so he kept his finger on the pulse by using his daughter to say, what do you think of this? And if she was like, or like this, he would go with it. She was like, I love it. This is the story he told us. So he had it in his mind that I was staying on the record no matter what, but he hadn't seen me. And I'm sure Beans was trying to keep me away from him, you know. But anyway, this big meeting happened, and suddenly I'm going down to this big record company, you know. Well, it turns out it was quite a small subsidiary. It was a Planet 3 Records, but for me it was the big time, because I'd never walked into a record company before. But I wasn't green because I was 35, so I wasn't kind of like, you know. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
you know, took it all in my stride. And we walk into this building, and we go upstairs, and Dave Ambrose introduces himself to me. And I'm thinking, this is the moment when he goes, you're too old, mate, you know. And he didn't. And he said, I asked my daughter what she thinks of it, and she absolutely loves it. So he wanted to sign me on the spot. That was it. We got signed to the... And I'm like, I got away with it. Problem was, a week later, Jay, the rapper, brilliant rapper. I know he doesn't do it anymore, but I learned everything about rap from that guy, because I'd be in the studio and I think, oh, this is easy, you're just talking. But, you know, you know what it's like to make it really cool and really work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an art form, you know, and I realised that. But anyway, Jay, the rapper, his daughter apparently said, I don't like the rapper. So he got it into his head that we got to change the rapper. So Beans and I said, we can't do this to Jay, you know, because we've all built each other's hopes up and we're all raring to go. How do we tell Jay that we're going to take him off the track and replace him, you know? And Beans said, we're not. Let's tell him we've replaced the rapper. He won't know any different.
Okay.
We did exactly that. We went into there, and he asked about it, and we said, yeah, we changed the rapper. He played it and just said, that's much better. We hadn't changed the note, but he was so desperate for this summer hit that it all went through. So anyway, slash a long story to ribbons. We persevered with that. Great, we're going to have a hit. We thought we were going to have a hit. Melody Maker got in touch with us and decided we were going to be record of the week.
Nice.
Way before the Eurovision. And then came the part where Jonathan King.
Yeah.
Can we mention him? Yeah.
Don't mention him. I'm not a fan.
What can I say? He got himself in a spot of bother, and for that reason, we kind of there was something about him, and he wanted to manage us. That's how much he wanted us to enter the competition, and a few of us had heard little stories here and there, just little whisperings and rumours. We didn't want to sort of accuse anybody of anything, but we decided, no, this isn't the guy to manage us. But he championed us and put us in the contest, and then the public vote did the rest, and we won. I was literally all ready to go home. I thought, well, this isn't a Eurovision song. It doesn't really sound anything like the usual entries. So I'd got into my head, we're not going to get anywhere. Turned out we won by such a majority that the distance between the acts before us and ourselves was the numbers were higher than the entire amount of votes put together. I know, just the gap between the act behind us. So we realised we'd won because it gets to the point where you haven't been called and you're on the song before you. We won. The girls at the switchboard, one of the girls at the switchboard said, we knew you were going to win straight away because the meter went
really,
and nobody could get through, and it's just chocker. It was chocker the whole time.
Wow,
blow me down. And then literally, you're whisked into a room, Jaden, and nothing prepares you because I'd never had anything like this. And they said, right, you're going to go in this room. There's going to be a few photographers.
Yeah.
But don't let that faze you. And we just walk into this, what appears to be a broom cupboard almost. And there's this big room with like 150 photographers in there. And that's not in the days, they didn't have mobile phones there. It was like proper cameras, flash. And I was being blinded, and it was like, it was incredible because suddenly you felt like every scene you've seen on a catwalk or something, or on the red carpet, and they're all calling your name. Yeah. And then straight away you're told, right now we're going to have a press call, or the press are all going to phone you. Sit by that phone and take all the calls for the next hour. Wow, welcome to show business, And I haven't had time to process it, so I'm like, wow, I think I've made it.
It's probably didn't, mate, because it's really. I didn't have. we were doing some amazing things that kind of. Yeah. I'm really pleased I wasn't able to process it because I think my insecurity and my shit self-esteem would have made me run a bloody mile. To be fair, at the time, but it's overwhelming.
But I know what you're saying about the shit self-esteem, because I remember saying to Jay, it takes this little bit of fame, because we didn't know how long it was going to last. It just takes this little bit of fame to just get my self-esteem to a normal level of everyone else's. Yeah. And I've noticed what a lot of, because you start meeting other pop stars who have made it. And when you meet them as people, you realise that these are the most insecure breed of people you're ever going to meet.
And they are just people. They're just people as well, don't get me wrong. But they are just people doing a job and making it the best they possibly can. Yeah.
They're just doing a job and trying their best, and they don't. There's no guarantees for them, Yeah. They know that you can be up there 1 minute and down there the next, and so I think the insecurity that they go through from day to day is conflicting with the fact that they need to appear confident and they need to appear to have some sort of ego and stage presence.
Yeah. It is a head fuck, completely.
Yeah, it's a head fuck. Yeah. And that's I talk to many of them on a one-to-one level, and when you sort of meet you see the real person that's not on show, not on a screen like we are now. You just see all their insecurities, and they wear them on their sleeve. They can't wait to tell somebody.
Yeah.
So, because it feels real to them.
2 minutes with a complete stranger that isn't a risky stranger.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I remember those days.
So, I do get annoyed when I see everyone laying into celebrities on social media. Like, it's okay to do that. It's sure, everyone's got an opinion, but no one says that you should go on their public pages and attack them verbally, say the worst possible things.
It makes them look worse, and it makes the celebrity look worse.
Yeah, it does. Doing their job.
I think we just kind of tripled the amount of haters that we've got over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like I was saying on one of my other interviews, I can't remember, but like it would never have been. Like, I couldn't even get on a bus till I was 20 because I had no confidence of walking up in front of a bus full of people to get on a bus. So I would have to stand by the door. So if I felt a little bit overwhelmed, I could get off at the next stop, wait for another one. And because I was beyond shy, as a kid. Yeah. So being an artist, being a singer was probably the least appropriate thing I should have ever done with my existence. And I remember we done the Thessaloniki Music Festival, which is older than Eurovision, and it's out in Greece, the Salonika Music Festival, I think it's called. And I remember England never been placed there, and we were backstage and we were working. Our producer was Elliot Kennedy, who'd done like Spice Girls Take That and stuff like that, and we was doing one of his songs, and the Grecian orchestra couldn't play a Take That Meets Eternal kind of song. So we were the first people probably ever to play part track, part live orchestra. The orchestra on its own sounded like the Salvation Army because they just couldn't get 90s R&B pop.
Tell me about it.
So we had and I was literally crying. Like, it was it was televised to 108 million people worldwide, and it was in front of something like 50, 60, 70,000 in the auditorium, and I couldn't do it. And then I was crying. The makeup lady kept I was like, I can't do it. And then all of a sudden, beyond, they pushed me on. I'm like, only love will turn the key. Straight on.
And you just switch it on.
Then you go into autopilot. I couldn't even tell you what.
You do.
And then we won. And I just was in the toilet crying. I just couldn't fathom how we won, how we were even liked. And then the same as you, we have to go back on and do the song again and do the publicity. And for me, it was just, I can't even now even really remember how I felt, what I did, what I said, because it was so quick, so intense, so beyond human experience, because you don't have that working in a bank or in a corner shop, that it's just, I don't even remember how it even felt anymore, It's bizarre.
Well, the whole thing is a fake world, and us singers, we're creating an illusion, and the higher up you go, the bigger the illusion becomes. Because yourself,
that's the hardest bloody job. It's the illusion keeping that is the real bloody art in that, to be fair.
Yeah. And yourself, it doesn't feel the same from where you are on the stage looking out at the crowd as it does from the crowd looking out at this guy up on the big stage. Absolutely. With a nice background. It looks completely different. You can't see far past the lights. You can see the first couple of rows. The rest is just a blur, which is actually what got me through the doing the biggest theatre in Ireland, the Point Theatre, which is like blooming Wembley Stadium, Dublin. Yeah, that's it.
I remember.
Yeah, I was thinking, who won last year? We might be going to some lovely warm climate, and that's how it's Ireland. Oh yeah, right. It's about. I tell you what, I had the time of my life there. I wouldn't have gone anywhere else. Yeah. I met so many wonderful people in Ireland. And the girls out there, I don't mean, they look great, but they know how to have a good time. Irish girls know how to enjoy themselves. And the nightlife was second to none. I had the time of my life. Of course, it helped that I was in the charts and in the Eurovision at the time.
So. You did have a good starting block, to be fair.
Yeah.
So what happened? Because how long did Love City Groove last? What happened after that? And then when did begin?
It kind of so we did the contest. We came 10th, respectable, I always think, by today's standards, and we carried on plugging. MTV wanted our second track. There was some disputes going on in the band, which I was in. I won't deny that. And things got a bit rock and roll, a little bit ugly. There were 3 o'clock phone calls with certain people in the band trying to iron things out. And the whole time, the publishing company, Peer Music, that I was working for, that I was signed to, said, you could be a solo star. Now's the time to strike. So I got this in my head.
Right.
So the whole thing was kind of getting very messy, lots of internal arguments, and it was a toxic environment. And I thought, do you know what? This is just not a nice place to go anymore. It's just, there's too many issues on all sides, and you're working together 24/7. You're in coaches and buses and vehicles all day and all night, traveling. We're just going on each other's tits, to be honest. But anyway, I did think, well, now would be a good time to leave, because I think there's so many arguments going on. I can't see them going much further. And it just went the way of many bands. So basically, when people talk about big record companies and them promoting you and them doing this for you and the record company doing that for you, you're talking about a handful of people on the top floor, aren't you, that are running the whole show. Completely. So we did a marvelous track, and I thought, this is actually amazing. The guy who produced it was just a genius. I loved the track. They were convinced that it was going to go the distance. So I was convinced, being fairly new in the game. And it boiled down to about 4 people. They were a team. They got headhunted by EMI. And they left. And we're just on the precipice of going ahead with a full promotion and getting this track launched. And this is what I was saying about how 1 minute you can be there and then you can be down there. And I phoned up one day to find out what's happening next. And they said, didn't you know so-and-so and company have left? So I said, okay. So what's happening with the project? And they're like, and this is how brutal it is. I don't know, nothing. And you just think that somebody up there is going to make it all work out for you. Yeah. And, but if there is somebody up there, they had different plans for me, because I keep phoning and nothing was happening. And then it dawns on you that it's all gone. Everything, the 5-star treatment, the fans, everything you got used to, the PA, your personal assistant, which you get used to very, very quickly. And it's very nice having somebody doing all your thinking for you. But before you know it, you can't think for yourself. You're a fully fledged 100% pop star at this stage. You've lost your soul. You can't think for yourself. Where's my PA? Makeup.
And the thing is, there was no social media, so it's not as if you can get on TikTok and start recapturing your audience and starting again. It's like you're with nothing. You're like, shit, I've got to go and work in a bank or something now. Like, what do I do?
Well, there's my story that I was going to tell you when we were having a little chat earlier. And I said, you reminded me about a story that I've never told.
Okay.
And actually, this seems like the perfect place to tell that. So basically, when it was all over, I've got no job. And you're still owed all the money. You don't see, as probably, you don't see that money straight away. So I wasn't to see that money for another 2 years. And it was a good amount of money. I'd been paid a lot of money by my publisher to sign a deal, which was very nice. You sign your name and they give you a check. Wow, that's never happened. And so I was, living the high life for quite a while, and then suddenly realised my money's running out. And you've got no choice. I had to sign on.
Yeah.
So I've gone down, filled in the forms, and it's very degrading, because at this point people actually can recognise who you are.
You because you was on TV a couple of
yeah. So I'm in the queue and we're waiting to sign on. So I've gone from signing autographs, right, to signing on the dole.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there so embarrassed. I feel like there's like a spotlight on me saying you shouldn't be here. And here he is, everyone. Have a good laugh at him. He's in the dole office.
That's soul destroy.
And there's this guy in front of me, and he turned around, and I said, "You're the bloke off EastEnders." So it was a character in EastEnders, basically, that had met a similar fate as myself.
Okay.
And he goes, "And you're the guy off Love City Groove." Next minute, all these girls in the dole office, right, wanted our autograph. And I'm like, I'm here to sign the dole. I mean, you know, if you really want me to, I will.
Yeah.
I think this is the most surreal thing that has ever happened to me. I'm signing autographs in the dole office, and so was he. I won't say who it was in case it embarrasses him.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. True story.
Yeah, and like you've got to be, especially. I mean, a lot of artists. The reason why they're artists because they're incredibly creative, vulnerable, sensitive people.
Yeah.
And you know, like I remember, you know, I obviously was doing really, really well for a good few years. Like people, Lulu had written me a track. I was working with, you know, Tony Swain.
Oh wow.
And stuff, you know. So Lulu came and sat on the floor in the warehouse of one of my shows, and you know, so and I was a huge Lulu fan at the time. So it was, you know, but it was amazing. And then all of a sudden, you've got nothing. And and I said the only way I can describe how that feels like is you see someone on like now on like the reality TV shows like X Factor, Pop Idol, and they've been doing it for 6 weeks and they get dropped out and their world has fallen a fucking apart.
Yeah.
You do that after 7 years. You don't even know how you talk, how you walk, how you dress, and not just because you have PAs, but because you spend 99% of your time in this persona. But that persona isn't in the dough office, and it's not in, you know, a corner shop or, you know, working at Tesco's or whatever. It's just the most bizarrest experience. One of the most, now, you know, I'm obviously, you know, it's a very different era now. So, you know, I still am not a pop star. I'm 52 years old, but, you know, I've just released a new single and my social media is still doing, I'm doing my show. So I'm still living my creativity. But you know, no one can really let me down now apart from me. But
no, and this is the real reason you should be doing it. These are the right reasons, I should say. These are the right, because if you get a lot of kids now, they just want the fame ticket, and they can just about hold a tune, bless them. Yeah. But they see others doing well, and of course you've got auto tune now, which you didn't have when we were doing it. And they think, well, I can do that, and they just, because I think, as you say, most creative people, singers especially, because they're absorbing so much, their brains are ticking over.
Yeah,
it makes you very insecure when you think too much about yourself and about your world. It makes you very insecure because none of us know how others see us.
No,
we hope they see us the way we want to be seen.
Yeah,
and what show business allows you to do is become the person you want to be, even if you're creating, because to be a good frontman, you have to create a persona.
Absolutely.
And you can hide behind that. That makes you feel, it's very empowering.
Yeah.
You know, but you can conflate the two.
Yeah.
And there comes a point when people get too big, and you've heard many celebrities say this, I'm sure, where they didn't know who they were and where that ended and where the performer started. It's just become all conflated, and they don't know who they are. David Bowie famously took some time out just to find out who he was.
Yeah.
After having Ziggy Stardust and all the hits, just before he came back in the 80s, you know, with another reinvention of himself. And I think that the more times a pop star will reinvent themselves, that serves them very, very well as people, because you get bored with the character you've created. Yeah. So it works for you, but it also works for the audience as well, because it makes you very current and very fresh. But there's so many dynamics in terms of being a singer. So much, as you say, so much internalizing.
Yeah, it's a hardcore challenge. It's not
insecurity
and being in a studio. It's No wonder so many. You look at people like Britney and stuff like that. No wonder there's
Yeah.
so much mental health in the industry because it's hardcore. It's
Yeah.
hardcore, mate.
Yeah.
Let's go. I want to go back. You saying about being fresh, reinventing yourself, being current. What's going on with you at the moment? So you've gone from Love City Groove. You've done all the '90s stuff. What's going on for you now? Because you're still.
I'm transitioning. so
Back.
I'm transitioning. So basically, I'd moved about 20 years ago to Suffolk, and ended up staying here, and I started enjoying real life a lot more than I was before I had my little 15 minutes of fame, because I really wasn't enjoying myself there. Not because of any, it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just because I was pretty messed up and didn't know what I wanted to do, who I was.
Yeah.
And so you have your 15 minutes of fame, get it out of your system, and then you think, well, then you carry on trying to see if there's still an audience, And in the end, when I came here, I thought, wow, this is just like my best holidays when I was a kid, because I'm 5 minutes from the beach. And I just started enjoying real life, and making real friends, and keeping it real, as they say today. I just got swept away with that. And because I've got a few strings to my bow, or a few bows to my strings, whichever way around the saying goes. But it's a creative thing where I started getting immersed in children's books and going back to my artwork. I used to be an artist for Marvel Comics, which was my childhood ambition. So I love the anonymity of that, because I could do my pictures, but I wasn't required to be on as we are.
No one's judging you.
No. And that was a childhood ambition. So I got a job with Marvel UK when I was younger, and I thought I'll go back to this. And I just got involved in creative projects, and then I kind of got into the tribute circuit and started putting big shows together, which worked out really nicely. So I kind of, about 2005, I got back into music, having been away for 10 years, and just enjoying real life.
Mm-hmm.
And you can never take the boy out of the music, and I found that going on stage was easier for me than actually social interactions. Well, I'd get nervous because I knew what you know what your job is when you're on stage, and if you know how to do it, you can switch it on and off. So put stage shows together, felt very confident about this, and they all worked. They really worked. It's almost like there's one guilty pleasure and secret that I'd kept from the world when I was a tribute artist, which gave me the best time I'd ever had. And you'd never expect this to happen to a person who's sung in the Eurovision, or maybe you would. But I joined a place called Potter's, which is a big leisure resort, where Michelle from The Voice, who won the first episode of The Voice, I'm trying to think of her surname, she gave me the job there. And so you're singing, I'm singing 3 days a week to the public, and if they say you're going to be Roy Orbison tonight, and it was all kind of music hall stuff, and they're doing this retro sort of show, oh boy, so you had to dress up as various 50s stars, and I eventually, that moment came when it's like, can you do Elvis? I'm like, well, I was raised on Elvis, my mum loved him, so suddenly you find yourself in an Elvis costume, because if you say no, you're out of a job.
Yeah.
When you're an entertainment resort performer, you're working for them. So if they tell you this is what we're doing this week, you do it. Then they did a poll to find out who everyone's favourite stage act was, and them not knowing that I was all the same different people dressed up, because I'd be dressed up as Roy Orbison one day, we had Buddy Holly, Elvis another. They said the guy who does Elvis. I thought, Christ, I'm going to be stuck with it now. Then we realised if we took this show out that we were doing there, because they're making all the money, they're just paying you a wage. If we took this out on the road, you would make a killing, and it's exactly what happened. So I literally, and I knew it wasn't going to last long. It's going to be the weirdest, most surreal chapter in my life, where I became an Elvis impersonator. Okay, it's on YouTube if you want to go and have a good laugh. But what I will say about that strange, strange world, the fans are very loyal. They're crazy but loyal, and they give you a lot of love on stage. Even before you sing, you go on in that costume, and they're calling it Elvis, Elvis. You know. Right. Next thing, before I knew it, we did the show for a couple of years. Then Graceland get in touch with me, the Elvis estate at Graceland, and they're like, "Do you want to? Hey, buddy, we've heard you singing." I thought my brother Michael, he loves a good wind up, and he'd done this before to me. He'd wound me up pretending to be Graceland. This time it really was them. And I'm hearing this Elvis music in the background. And I think, oh, very good, Michael, very good. Who've you got doing the voice? It's very convincing. It was actually Graceland phoning me up. Okay. And it's like, yeah, we heard you, boy. We heard you, boy. You sound real great. And sorry to all my American fans for that terrible, terrible American accent. And they invite me to Graceland to sing at Elvis Week for 10 days.
Wow, mate.
No pressure. So you've got Elvis buried just a short distance from where you're singing. And you're singing his songs.
Unless, if the conspiracy theorists are right, he might have been in the crowd watching you, mate, even so.
You know, there was a bloke, he had like a burger van outfit on, but he did have the sideburns. I thought that could be Elvis. That could be him. He didn't die. He's serving burgers.
So what's the...
Yeah. But we're not going to tell anybody that.
No. That's something for TikTok, actually.
Yeah. Well, I remember Beans when I did the 2011 Love City Groove, and the cat got out of the bag and he found out that I was doing this. And he said, "I've just realised how surreal your life is." So we're doing like the 2011 remake of Love City Groove, which really looked like it was going to be a big hit because everyone was getting behind it, you know. And he said, "And when you go back the next day, you go on stage as Elvis." And I said, "Well, if you want to stay and work, you just sing. You just keep singing.
Always got to eat. Understand?
Yeah, your boy's got to eat. Yeah. Absolutely. But they came after Graceland. I said, "Well, this is a great time to stop." And by then, I'd amassed several hundred Elvis fans that were all saying, "You can't give up. You can't stop now." And I thought, this is the time to do it because I do not want to be. I was already older than Elvis when he passed away.
Yeah, maybe it's time for a change. So what's going on? Like, obviously, so you haven't really stopped. I mean, apart from that little 10 years.
No, not really. No, to answer your question, I stopped for 10 years, and I'm in a fortunate position now where if I get a crazy idea into my head, and I'm like a teenager, I want to do this, I'll just do it. Because you get to a certain age where you just think, we're all going to end up in a coffin one day. I'm just gonna do what I want and have fun.
And for us now,
as you said, if you're creative, you've just got to keep creating. So I'm doing a children's book. I'm doing.
When you say you're doing a children's book, writing or illustrating or both?
Both.
Okay, so you're going to come on my book read show. I've just released two.
Oh wow!
I've just released 2 children's books. I can't draw to save my life, but I've just written 2 coming out on paperback soon. So yeah, so it's been really a good bit. We're very similar, dude.
Extraordinary parallels going on, and I didn't really sort of research you too much because I thought I like to go in with no preconceptions whatsoever. I will now.
If it's all on there, put it on places where
I will now because there's so many parallels.
I do sing Elvis songs I went from pop to doing classical crossover and kind of opera. So I'd gone from like being Take That Meets Eternal to Josh Groban and Il Divo. And I had more piercings.
I love it.
And so I would go to theatres singing Nessun Dorma in jeans and a t-shirt. I was like the bad boy of opera at the time. Yeah. And then I moved to Mexico nearly 10 years ago with my 30 backing tracks of classical crossover music. And I was singing on, literally in a restaurant on the Caribbean Sea. And I was singing Nessun Dorma, and literally some Italian guy tapped me on the shoulder while singing Pavarotti, which you just don't fucking do, and basically said, "Do you know any Whitney?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to dance with somebody." So now I've actually got, so that was like probably 6 years ago. I've now got 1,000 tracks from mariachi and ranchera to Dua Lipa, Tina Turner, obviously Whitney, and classical in 4 different languages. So now I just sing. Now I just sing to please me. I sing, right, I fancy
Yeah.
Olivia Newton-John, then I'm going to maybe do like a mariachi or old Mexican ranchera track or something, which is
Yeah.
good because obviously, not many boys like me sing.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's Pavarotti kind of went commercial,
Yeah.
and look at, he wouldn't have been known by a commercial audience, a worldwide audience in the same way. Obviously, he was known as, but when they did the three tenors,
Yeah. And the
a
Pavarotti
lot of the classical world was saying, "Oh, they sold out," because they've made it commercial. But I'm all for that, and I've heard your voice; it's absolutely phenomenal. Made my other half cry. We heard a track of yours, and absolutely beautiful. And I did detect that there was a, yeah, I did
crying
detect
as in like emotionally moved, or crying like get that shit off.
no, emotionally moved.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, yeah. And she's a classical musician herself,
Okay.
my other half, Sarah.
Oh, amazing.
And so I go to a lot of classical concerts and stuff like that. And yeah, I love a bit of classical.
Yeah, me too. It's good for.
And I think the fact if you're mixing it up like that, then that's absolutely radical. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And who was the girl in the '90s who did something very similar?
Hayley Westenra.
No, she kind of mixed rock with.
Evanescence.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
It was
Yeah.
my dream. I really wanted.
Yeah. Wasn't that awesome, that track?
Yeah, when I was in an Our Price Records at the time, I don't know what I was getting, and Bring Me to Life or My Immortal or whatever it was playing. I was like,
My Immortal, yeah.
I need to do this. I never got an opportunity because I never met a rock band, but that always, or Epica. I don't know if you've heard of Epica. And
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
some beautiful. I love that kind of classical.
Yeah, it's so epic.
I would love to have done that, but I'm just never had the rock band backing. So, who knows? I'm not dead.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing. Who knows? I mean, because I think singers and musicians, we don't live the life that everybody else lives. Physically, we don't, and we don't live it in our head either.
No,
Which is why you can put 2 different musicians from different age groups together, and they'll immediately start rapping together and bonding because of the music being the international language, as Beans always used to say in interviews. Music being the only international language, and it unites. Birds of a feather. It unites people.
No, I mean, I sing. I'm living in Mexico, so I sing. Loads in English. I sing loads in Spanish, but then I can sing in Japanese, Tagalog, German, Italian,
Wow.
and even Mexican. It doesn't. They're not like, oh my god, he's singing a German song now. That's really weird. It's just flows. I think you just get sometimes immersed in the energy of everything more than you actually do in the actual. I mean, obviously the lyrics of the song are very important, but sometimes, like I said, it's just music. The energy that music creates is very
Yeah.
all encompassing. Really, I want to go a bit like before we end the interview. I just want to chat. What is going on for you now? And what are your plans for the future? Because I'm very excited to hear about those.
All right. So I'm working on a time travel graphic novel. I'm working on a kids book because I've got grandkids now, beautiful grandkids, and so I'm doing that for them. But anybody who wants to buy it, obviously. And then music wise, I've been persuaded by quite a few people, close friends, and said, you should just be doing this regardless now. This is the time to do it because there's nothing at stake. You're happy with your life.
Yeah.
Just go with your past merits and use those and start singing again. So first of all, I didn't even know I could still sing because I've heard singers when they were younger sing 20 years later and they're starting to lose it. So few rehearsals later, I'm feeling like, wow, it's actually better than it was.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely.
And also because your influences start to mount up, don't they? And they have a huge effect on what comes out.
Yeah.
And so I've actually rediscovered singing for the love of singing now. And I love making videos and stuff like that. So I got that video together just for this show for a funky woman. It's just like making pictures, moving pictures on the screen. I think with creativity, whether you're a cook and you're creating a beautiful cuisine, or or you're an artist, or you're a singer, it's the same ingredients, it's the same judgment. Where too much of this, too little of that. Should I add a bit more? And this as a singer yourself, it's all about texture and sound, and
absolutely,
as with all creative things, so it's all about judgment. So I'm just about. I'm rehearsing to bring back. I've been persuaded by a very good old friend of mine, and she's persuaded me to come back onto the live circuit.
Nice, mate.
With a 90s. Funny enough, when I lived through the 90s, but I wasn't absorbing all of the music, because yesterday's music was always better. It's like nowadays, people talk about the old days, back in the day. So I kind of, I know everything that was going on in the charts, and I realised looking back, there were a lot more things that I liked than I thought I liked,
It was amazing.
And I'd seen many of them perform and met many of them. So we're going to do a 90s tribute act and see where that goes. I've got other plans beyond that, because you've got to kind of imagine that you're going to keep going. You shouldn't kind of preempt it and say, well, I'm too old to do this, or I'm too old to sing, I need to stop. People will tell you this on Facebook, or social media, and I see quite a few old bands who are doing really well on the circuit, and they've still got their same following, but people are still piling on with the hate, saying, looking a bit older, mate, time to give up. And I'm thinking, do you know what? It's people like that probably make them want to carry on.
Absolutely. Because you're really
the defiance of saying, age is out to get all of us.
Yeah.
So you've got to see that as the enemy, and you've got to fight the enemy for as long as you can.
Absolutely.
Your audience will let you know when it's time to give up.
Well, I think you will also know when it's time to give up. You're like, okay, maybe.
Some don't. Some don't. Don't.
Well, saying that, I was the biggest. I mean, I didn't know whether I wanted to be her or marry her, or I just was completely in love with Olivia Newton-John in my youth. Like, just.
Oh, me too, mate. Me too.
I met her.
I was going to marry her.
Became kind of.
She didn't know this, but I was going to marry her.
I was going to. Well, we would have been related in some bigger missed wedding then, mate, because I would have been there with you. But I got to meet her, and I got to chat with her, and we got to SMS each other every now and then and stuff. She was just amazing, and I got invited to the Royal Albert Hall to watch her sing, and then I went and had a good chat with her afterwards. But she was, I think she was late 60s, early 70s at this point. She looked phenomenal. That girl rocked, and I mean rocked, the Royal Albert Hall, which was jam-packed for over 2 hours solid, live vocals, dancing, running up and down stage. I mean, that girl sounded better than she has ever sounded in her life at 69 years old or whatever she was.
And that's what counts, isn't it? It's whether you can deliver or not.
Absolutely. And
that's what counts. I'm very envious of you having met her.
Oh my God. When she went, that was my muse. That was like, what do I do now? Like my life, it was, I'm singing because we chatted. I chatted with Olivia, and she'd written me a letter once, and it said, right, get famous because we're doing that duet. And I was like,
oh wow,
doing it. And she died before I got a chance to do it. So I was like, I've got nothing to aim for now. That actually was harder than losing any record deal.
Oh yeah.
She was my muse. That was the only thing. I mean, I want to sing with Linda Carter. I want to sing with Agneta from ABBA. I want to sing with Lulu. There's so many people that I really want to sing with, just because they were my heroes growing up. But Olivia Newton-John was like, she still is my muse. Actually, she still is like,
I can see why. I mean, she just had it all when she had that. When they launched the X Factor, they called it the X Factor because it was used as a phrase at the time, that it was that unknown quality that you couldn't quite define. And she had it in spades, didn't she? And there was something ethereal about the way
No,
she
really, me,
looks.
you know, the only other person when I was in the 90s, because I was
Yeah, yeah,
famous in the 90s, I met Princess Diana a couple of times, and she was. I mean, Olivia was probably a little bit realer, but Princess Diana was just bizarre, mate. Like it didn't even feel human. Like it was very ethereal. Like the energy
yeah,
was like
yeah,
not normal for me. I found it quite intimidating. I've met loads of famous people, like loads of
yeah,
famous people, some beautiful, some arseholes, but loads of famous people. So the fact that, and, like I'd met, we were side to side in our tour bus when we were becoming famous, and Diana and William and Harry were next to us. So we were like doing like in the car and blowing on the car windows, and, so I kind of, to me, they were just other human beings. Like I'm not very
yeah,
good at respecting tiers that people put themselves on, because to me you're just another human and I respect you if you're
yeah, yeah,
kind of thing. So but there was an energeticness about Diana that was just really
yeah,
bizarre, very, very angelic, ethereal, and Olivia had a bit of that, had a little bit
yeah.
of that kind of, yeah, you're just,
Yeah, I see it.
I don't think she
It's
would
like a light. It's
be
like a light.
hardcore as well,
Yeah,
she's a businesswoman. I'm pretty sure she could, like, cut
yeah,
you up, you messed up,
yeah,
bruv,
yeah.
you know
You've got to have that shrewd element about you,
yeah,
just for self-preservation. But yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. Oh, my friend said that about Diana. She was running a big charity, and Diana was, a patron of that charity, and she actually came into a humble little council flat and didn't want any press knowing about it. And I'm literally in my friend's house, and I'm like, "There's Princess Diana in your house, in your kitchen." And it was the most surreal thing. She was lovely. She was everything you would imagine,
yeah, and more,
and more,
yeah,
But there was a reason why the whole world grieved the way they did when she died,
yeah,
because there's only a few people in modern history that have had that
yeah.
extra amount of charisma, extra light, extra energy. You can name them on one hand.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they don't make many of them to the pound. So, before we finish, what does the future hold for Love Song?
Well, I think I'm gonna test it out and see how the '90s gigs are received. Beyond that, I actually just can't wait to just keep singing now. I want to make records again. I'm reacquainting with old, writer friends of mine,
So,
who actually, amazing to myself. I'm like, they want to still work with me, and I'm humbled by that. So whereas before I turned down lots of things because I go, no, that ship sailed. I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm like, yeah, count me in.
bring it on,
I'm
absolutely.
just going to see where it takes me, and that's the beauty of it. Because I don't actually. You lose ambition, don't you, a little bit, as you get older. It's not the same kind of raw, naive ambition, but you're like, let's just ride these waves and see where it takes me then. So your ambitions kind of manifest in that way, don't they?
Yeah, I got to release. Said just when I got to 50, I got to release like a disco-y, poppy track with a record label called Crazy Dog Records in the UK, and I was like, I never would have thought that at 50 years old I'm doing some pop stuff, and I've just released another kind of dance.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah,
Who'd have thunk it? Well, I worked with Tom Jones, and look at him now. He's still going. I was his backing singer for a little while, and he taught me a lot actually. And he's a lovely guy.
phenomenal.
And to see him getting up there now in his 80s and still knocking them dead,
Yeah,
and the young kids now know who he is because of the Pop Idol show. No, what is it? The Voice.
voice,
People like that inspire me to just keep going,
absolutely.
because I think ironically that's what keeps them looking so healthy and so alive for so long.
They're
The
living
fact
their
that they're
creativity.
making plans for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You've always got to make plans for the future. You stop doing that, then your future stops, and
Yeah,
before
completely.
you know it, your body follows suit, and
And I'm still a 23-year-old skinny blonde boy that's in Beyond
Yes,
in the night.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that shocked me when I kind of realised that I'm actually not. Mate, we need to talk offline about you coming on my book read show, which is my
Let's do that.
because we need to do that. But before you go, where can people find you on social media? Where are you?
Right. Well, as you probably know from our conversation earlier, I'm just setting everything up, so I can officially say I'm on Instagram, Insta as they call it now. I'm on TikTok, soon to be on X, which I tried a long time ago, and I didn't like the taste of it.
Okay.
But I'm thinking, actually, do you know what? As I say, I'm up for anything now, so I'm just going to do it the way it has to be done nowadays and see where it takes me. So I'm going to be on X. I'm going to even chat to people, you know, which is, I've always steered clear of social media, but I'm just going to lay myself bare, not literally, because that's not a pretty sight these days, but I'm going to lay myself bare emotionally and see where it takes me.
Amazing, mate. And of course, Facebook and YouTube, right?
Yeah, Facebook and YouTube. Yeah.
Bloody wonderful. Yeah. Okay, mate. People at home, you've met him, you love him. You also remember Love City Groove by Love City Groove. So make sure that you follow the links to Paul's social media platforms that are running not only along the bottom of this interview, but also on the title page of this episode as well. Go and follow him. Go show a brother some love, some support, and get him off his bleeding arse and make some more music, quite frankly. That's what needs to be done. Paul, thank you so much. I am really, really grateful for your time.
Thank you, Jaden.
To me, we are in touch. I will see you on future shows when you got new releases and new products and new projects, and we'll be chatting about your books very soon on Book Read as well. Thank you so much, Paul. You take care, my friend.
Thank you very much.
See you later, buddy. Bye-bye. Paul, my friend, thank you so much. It was super wonderful to not only spend my Sunday with you, but to get to connect with you and to hear some of your stories, which kind of parallel in very different ways some of my experiences in the 90s as well. Thank you so much. People at home, you are bloody wonderful. Thank you for coming back again and joining me on the Jaden Show to meet another stupendously talented and wonderful person. I hope you go and follow Paul on his social media platforms and go and check out his music on download and streaming platforms. If you don't know where to find him, well, then you haven't watched all the interview, because you'll see that underneath the interview there is a whole plethora of where you can find Paul, and also on the credits page to this show as well. So go and check him out. Go and show brother some love. Go and find him on his social media platforms and say hi. And while you're there, you can come and find me and follow me on mine, making sure that you've subscribed to this channel first. That's really important, because I want to introduce you to so many other wonderful people. I hope you have a wonderful new week. I hope you have a blessed new week. I'm not leaving you out without any more music. We're going to listen to, now we've actually got Funky Woman to listen to. OMG. That's going to be really great. You're going to check out Funky Woman. I'm going to see you next week on the Jaden Show. You take care. Lots of love. Stay beautiful. Bye-bye.